So the crime here is not restraining nuns. Welcome back. This is Edward Reeves' Buddhist Books Podcast, episode 146, Tipiṭaka, part 80. And I'm pretty sure the audio is already a bit noticeably better than yesterday, isn't it? It's connected to the Android phone. Hello, Android phone. Rather than the iPhone. Hello, iPhone. Anyway, yes, how is everybody doing? It's been a day. Sometimes I binge. I do a whole bunch of these episodes in a row, and then I take some time off. But I don't think you guys mind too much, do you? Special guest, Lord Buddha. Just to be different. Confessions. I have a confession. Yesterday, I ordered too much sushi. I knew that 8 little rolls was enough, but I got 12. And after I was full, I finished them, and then my stomach hurt. All right, that's all you're going to get out of me for today, aside from the fact that I will admit that I felt a little bit peeved when I noticed that some of the people using Kindle Unlimited were reading the Multiverse Cartographer, and more than once this happened, they stopped reading on page 37. Page 37 is a little sad. There's 150 pages. We're setting up characters, kind of getting to know the traumas that define them, right? So who stops when it gets sad? Keep reading. It gets better. There's an uplifting thing that comes after the sad part. Why would you stop reading on page 37? It drives me nuts. Let go, let go, let go, Edward. Okay, I think we got through that one okay. You okay? I'm okay. Still enjoying the new microphone. I think it'll work even better today. I don't think we need to go back to that old microphone, which is really good news. I mean, it's nice to have the freedom to move around and kind of sit back and, whatever I want to do here. Shall I get to the reading? Am I forgetting anything? Yes. Do please click here if this is your first time seeing me. That will take you to the Tipiṭaka playlist. Better to start with episode, or rather part 1 of the Tipiṭaka rather than part 80 of the Tipiṭaka. Work your way up to part 80. So this is the second of the 4 rules, the 4 confession rules. Here we go. Confession. Pāṭidesaniya 2. At one time, or at that time, I don't know, it's 3 dots. I have to fill it in. 3 dots at Rajagaha. How rude. How rude. Anyway, 3 dots, let there be light. 3 dots, separate land from earth. 3 dots, at one time, the enlightened one, the Lord, was staying at Rajagaha, yes, Rajgir in Bihar. I mean, they didn't call it Bihar back then, but Bihar and Vihara, you remember they build their Viharas? Vihar and Bihar both mean to wander. So a lot of wandering holy people, especially in this time period, 6th century BCE, in present-day Bihar. Vihara. It's a thing. Anyway, there's the Bihari school of yoga, which was one of the major influences on Mukti Yoga, based in Manhattan Beach, which is not in Manhattan. Never mind. Anyway, I got my first 200-hour certification there, but more recently have gone to Yoga Darshanam down in Mysore, they call it. You know, there's always the English name and then the proper name. Okay, so where were we? Yes. At that time, the Enlightened One, the Lord, was staying at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove at the squirrels' feeding place. Now, at that time, monks ate, invited by families. The group of 6 nuns. Well, this is new. Yes, some people are playing double roles, but let's just roll with it. All right. The group of 6 nuns came to be standing, giving directions for the group of 6 monks. It'd get a little crowded if we brought in the monks. Let's just let the nuns have their time in the spotlight, shall we? Saying, quote, "Here, give curry. Give cooked rice here." End quote. The group of 6 monks ate as much as they pleased. Other monks did not eat as much as expected. Those who were modest monks, 3 dots, spread it about, saying, quote, "How can this group of 6 monks, when the nuns are giving directions, not restrain, parentheses, them, end parentheses, end quote." So the crime here is not restraining nuns. All right, let's keep reading, see how chauvinistic it gets. Quote, "Is it true, as is said, that you, monks, when nuns were giving directions, did not restrain, parentheses, them, end parentheses, end quote." Quote, "It is true, Lord," end quote. They replied awkwardly, saying, you know, this is 2022, oh Lord. It's their choice to do what they... Just kidding. This was 6th century BC. The Enlightened One, the Lord, rebuked them, saying, quote, "How can you foolish men, 3 dots, not restrain, parentheses, them, end parentheses. It is not foolish men for pleasing those who are not, parentheses, yet, end parentheses, pleased." 3 dots. Not restraining nuns is not for the pleasing of those who are not yet pleased. So if we take out the knots, restraining nuns is for the pleasing of those who are not yet pleased. But this was 1930s in England that it was being translated, so surely it did not have such overtly BDSM undertones. Anyway, sorry. I get a little annoyed when it gets a little misogynistic. "And thus, monks, this rule of training should be set forth. Now, monks eat, invited by families. If a nun comes to be standing as though giving directions, saying, quote within quotes, 'Here, give curry, give cooked rice here,' end quote within quotes, that nun should be rebuked by those monks, saying, quote within quotes, 'Stand aside, sister, while the monks eat,' end quote within quotes." So they're in trouble for not saying, "Stand aside, sister, while the monks eat." That is the appropriate way to behave. Okay, but if it should not occur to a single monk to dismiss that nun, saying, quote within quotes, "Stand aside, sister, while the monks eat," end quote within quotes, it should be confessed by those monks, saying, quote within quotes, "We have fallen, your reverences, into a blameworthy matter, unbecoming, which ought to be confessed, we confess it." End quote within quotes, end quote. "Now, monks, eat, Invited by families means, a family means there are 4 parentheses kinds of, and parentheses, families. Noble family, Brahmin family, merchant family, low caste family. Eat invited means they eat invited to any one meal of the 5 parentheses kinds of meals. The end parentheses was after the of. None means one ordained by both orders. Then it says 177. Giving directions means if according to friendship, according to comradeship, according to intimacy, according as one has the same preceptor, according as one has the same teacher, she says, quote within quotes, here, give curry, give cooked rice here, and quote within quotes. She says, or no, this means giving directions. By those monks means, by the monks who are eating. That nun means the nun who is giving directions. That nun should be dismissed by those monks saying, quote within quotes, stand aside, sister, while the monks eat, end quote within quotes. But if she is not dismissed by a single monk, parentheses, and close parentheses, he accepts, parentheses, food, end parentheses, saying, quote within quotes, I will eat, I will partake of, end quote within quotes, there is an offense of wrongdoing. For every mouthful, there is an offense which ought to be confessed. If he thinks that she is ordained when she is ordained, parentheses, and parentheses, does not restrain her when she is giving directions, there is an offense which ought to be confessed. If he is in doubt as to whether she is ordained, 3 dots. If he thinks that she is not ordained when she is ordained, 3 dots, offense which ought to be confessed. If he does not restrain one ordained by one, parentheses, order only, end parentheses, who is giving directions, there is an offense of wrongdoing. If he thinks that she is ordained when she is not ordained, there is an offense of wrongdoing. If he is in doubt as to whether she is not ordained, there is an offense of wrongdoing. If he thinks that she is not ordained when she is not ordained, there is no offense. There is no offense if she makes, parentheses, another, end parentheses, give her own meal, parentheses, but, end parentheses, does not, parentheses, herself, end parentheses, give. If she gives a meal to others, parentheses, but, end parentheses, does not make, parentheses, them, end parentheses, give. If she makes, parentheses, another, end parentheses, give what was not given. If she makes, parentheses, another, end parentheses, give where it was not given. If she makes, parentheses, another, end parentheses, give to the same to everybody. If a female probationer gives directions, if a female novice gives directions, setting aside the 5 parentheses kinds of, end parentheses, meals, there is no offense in parentheses eating, end parentheses, any others, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. The second, meaning the second offense, which should be confessed. And the 57th rule that is clearly from before civil rights. Well, okay, some of them are like this. I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, I guess in those days, if you're a time traveler and you need to blend in an old school Theravadan order, and you're a monk or a nun, it's the monk that gets in trouble, not the nun. So if there's a nun saying, "Hey, come this way, give the food to my favorite monks over here," then you, as a monk, are responsible to walk up to her and say, "Hey, sister, get out of here. We're eating here. Leave us to eat." And if you do not, and nobody else does either, then apparently everyone needs to confess that they did not restrain the nun, meaning they didn't tell her to stop telling people to come give the food to particular monks. It's not a big deal. It's not, it's just, it's within the framework of that whole nuns are here, monks are here. So it's reminiscent of previous rules, which are more overtly chauvinistic. It's just sort of subtly, it's assumed chauvinism. All right. Okay. I mean, there it is. Not very uplifting. Do you feel enlightened? Oh, are you feeling it? Me too. Although it might be the coffee. Thank you, sisters, for tolerating this inexcusable double standard in the behavior of the men in power of many institutions, political, religious, and otherwise, for all of history. And thank you to Lord Buddha for not really changing anything, except for showing us the way to enlightenment, which, of course, that's the big thing. So thank you for that. Thank you for being our guest today. Thank you to you for tolerating my irreverence. And if indeed you are doing so, do feel free to give it a like and, all that good stuff. And cheers. And hopefully the new microphone was good today. And hopefully tomorrow's confession will be a little different. Although I don't think it will, because the first two were about nuns giving their food to monks. And so it's probably going to be more of the same. But I've been wrong before in my attempt to predict rules that were coming up. So we shall see. I will go ahead and close with the prayer. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below, we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Until next time.